If one day everything was taken away and women no longer looked at your wallet or your face, what would they look at to decide whether to stay or walk away? Many might think it's about how you speak or your social status. But the truth lies in something far fewer people notice. Your hobbies, what someone chooses to do when no one is watching, is the clearest mirror of who they truly are. A man may not be wealthy, may not be famous, but when he pours his heart into a genuine passion, the energy that radiates from him makes it hard for others to look away. Hobbies are like a quiet flame. They can warm another person's heart, making them feel safe and drawn closer. Or they can turn into a cold wind, extinguishing all interest and connection. If that flame is fueled by passion and commitment, it will burn bright and guide you through life. But if it's fed by negativity or habits that drain you, it will leave you cold, even when surrounded by a crowd. The interesting thing is, attractiveness doesn't have to come from hobbies that sound grand or traditionally masculine. Sometimes, the simplest things touch the deepest parts of someone's heart. A man who tends to his garden can make others feel his patience and gentleness. A man who takes time to write a few lines each day can create an inner world anyone would want to explore. So the question for each of us is this: whose game are you really playing, and are the things you pursue truly bringing you closer to the relationships and life you want? Before we talk about what makes women turn away, let's start with what makes them come closer. These flames, if you keep them alive the right way, will never go out. 15 hobbies that make men more attractive. There are hobbies that make a man more appealing without him even trying. They send out invisible signals about his character, abilities, and values. In particular, hobbies that require the skill of the hands often touch on something deeply instinctive, the instinct to build and to protect. 1. Woodworking. Trust in every grain of wood. There is a unique magnetism in a man who can transform a rough piece of wood into something useful, beautiful, and lasting. It's not just the skill with tools or the precision of each cut. It's the patience, the focus, and the pride in creating something that didn't exist before. Woodworking tells a story of reliability. It says you can take raw materials and turn them into something of value. In a relationship, that same energy shows you can take the chaos of life and shape it into something solid and dependable. A well-crafted table can last decades, just like the trust built by the same hands that made it. Women are often drawn to that quiet confidence, the sense that if something breaks, you'll know how to fix it, not just in the workshop, but in life. 2. Cooking. Food as a language of love. Cooking is often underestimated when it comes to men's hobbies, but it is one of the most powerful ways to connect with others. It's not just about skill in the kitchen, but also about care, thoughtfulness, and the unspoken message, I value you enough to create this for you. A meal you prepare yourself is deeply personal, carrying both emotion and attention. It's a language without words, a way to express affection, creativity, and to create shared memories. The smell of a favorite dish, the sound of a sizzling pan, the warmth of a shared meal, these moments linger long after the evening ends. For many women, a man who can cook is a man who can nurture, and that combination is hard to resist. 3. Blacksmithing. Fire, steel, and primitive resilience. Few hobbies carry the raw, primal strength of blacksmithing. This is a craft that connects you to something ancient, almost instinctive. Working with fire and steel is both dangerous and demanding, requiring respect for the material in your hands. Watching someone forge metal is to witness transformation in real time, from formless to purposeful, from rough to refined. It's a reminder that strength is not just about force, but also about control. Blacksmithing speaks of protection, endurance, and the ability to shape the world with your own effort. There is a certain security in knowing someone can create tools, weapons, or works of art with their hands and will. That kind of resilience isn't just attractive, it's captivating. 4. Gardening, patience taking root. Gardening might seem like the opposite of blacksmithing, yet they share the same message: the ability to nurture and the patience to wait for results. It's not about instant gratification, but about tending to something daily, trusting that your efforts will one day bear fruit. Gardening reflects discipline, vision, and quiet optimism. You learn to adapt to the seasons, to overcome setbacks, and to rejoice when life begins to flourish. In relationships, that same patience translates into stability, the mark of someone who won't abandon what they've planted just because it takes time to grow. Fresh herbs in a dish, flowers blooming at the doorstep, vegetables harvested by your own hands. These are simple joys that make a home feel alive, and the man who tends his garden often brings that same warmth and vitality to the people around him. Hands can build a roof over someone's head, shape wood, stir a pot, forge steel, or coax life from the soil. But it is the mind and heart behind those hands that decide who will step inside that home, who will sit at that table, and who will choose to stay. 5. Reading. Every page is a doorway. When a man holds a book, it's not just about reading words printed on paper. It's the moment he steps through an invisible doorway into the world of thought, imagination, and understanding. Every page is a quiet conversation with great minds, a chance to see life through someone else's eyes. Reading doesn't just expand knowledge, it cultivates empathy, the kind that allows deeper connections with others. A man who reads often carries a calm depth, a mind that listens before it responds, and a heart open to new perspectives. Women notice this because it sends a signal of intelligence, patience, and the ability to converse beyond surface-level small talk. 6. Writing. The pen is the sword of thought. Writing is thinking made visible. It requires the ability to arrange emotions, ideas, and experiences into words that can move another person. A man who writes is often a man who examines his own inner world, confronts complexities, and finds ways to express them clearly. Writing is not just a skill, it's an act of courage, revealing parts of oneself for others to see and feel. In the eyes of women, a man with a pen is not just a storyteller, but someone with emotional depth, intellectual sharpness, and the ability to connect through words never spoken aloud. Writing doesn't have to be elaborate. Sometimes simple honesty has more power than any polished line of flirtation. 7. Astronomy. Eyes on the stars, feet on the ground. Looking up at the night sky is one of the most humbling experiences. It reminds you of how small you are, and at the same time, how vast you can be. A man who loves astronomy often carries endless curiosity and the ability to think beyond everyday concerns. He understands the immensity of the universe, but also knows that every moment under this sky is unique and worth cherishing. This hobby is both scientific and romantic, scientific in its knowledge, and romantic in the glow of the stars, where every constellation is a story waiting to be told. For many women, this is the mark of a mind that sees far, yet a heart that knows how to stay close. 8. Foreign languages, when a greeting opens the heart. Learning and using a new language is not just about communication. It's a key that unlocks the world. Every phrase learned is a step closer to understanding another culture, another way of life, another lens on reality. It shows persistence, respect for others, and a desire to connect beyond familiar borders. For women, a man who can speak to them in their language, or at least tries to learn, is demonstrating care and effort in a way that's deeply personal. And sometimes the second language isn't French, Japanese, or any spoken tongue at all. It's the language of understanding the one beyond sound, expressed in how you listen, respond, and make the person in front of you feel seen and respected. Intelligence makes people want to listen to you, but for them to truly believe in you, they need to see experience in your life. And to gain those experiences, you have to step beyond your comfort zone to go and to live. 9. Traveling. Every trip is a chapter of life. Every journey is like turning to a page you've never read before. When a man travels, he's not just changing the scenery around him, he's expanding the way he sees the world and himself. Each trip is a collection of stories, people, scents, sounds, and unexpected moments. It shows curiosity, courage, and a willingness to embrace the new. For many women, a man who loves to travel is someone with an open heart, who values experiences over possessions, and who is ready to create unforgettable memories together. 10. Hiking. The slope as a measure of grit. Hiking isn't just about reaching the peak. It's about testing the limits of your endurance. The exhausting paths, aching legs, and heavy breaths all become a challenge to your persistence. Every step forward on a steep climb is a declaration, I won't give up. Hiking also reveals a connection to nature, the ability to live simply, and the joy found in small things. Women often see in it strength, resilience, and a sense of safety because if you can lead yourself through tough trails, you can also walk alongside them through life's challenges. 11. Swimming. Confidence in the water. Swimming carries a sense of freedom and grace. A man confident in the water radiates comfort in his own body, control over his breathing, and agility. It's also a skill closely tied to survival and protection. For someone who can't swim, seeing a skilled swimmer inspires admiration and reassurance, knowing that in danger he could respond. Beyond that, swimming is a sign of discipline, good health, and an active spirit. These are qualities that contribute to a natural, genuine kind of attractiveness that can't be faked. 12. Archery. When focus becomes art. Archery requires a blend of strength, control, and precision. The release of an arrow is not just the work of muscles, but of a calm mind and unwavering focus on the target. Archery paints the image of a man who is patient, steady, and composed even under pressure. That steadiness is highly attractive because it signals reliability and the ability to remain in control. It's not only a physical skill, but also a lesson in focus and discipline, two traits that make anyone more trustworthy and magnetic. Adventurous steps can take you to faraway places and open the door to unforgettable experiences. But sometimes, the true attraction doesn't lie in where you've been, it lies in what you create right where you are, through emotion and creativity. 13. Painting. Colors as a personal confession. Painting is one of the most intimate and refined ways to express emotion. When a man holds a brush, he's not just creating images, he's placing fragments of his soul onto the canvas. Every color, every stroke carries a story, a feeling, or a moment etched into memory. Painting demands keen observation, an ability to perceive beauty, and the courage to reveal one's inner world. Women often see in it a sensitive soul, rich imagination, and the bravery to show his vulnerability rather than hide it. 14. Photography, preserving the moments time wants to forget. Photography is not just the skill of pressing the shutter at the right second. It's the art of noticing what others overlook. A man who loves photography often has eyes that can find beauty in the smallest details. A glance, a ray of light, or a fleeting moment that exists for only an instant. Taking a photograph is not merely capturing an image, it's freezing the emotions tied to that moment. This creates a unique allure, because women understand that a man who values and preserves the beauty of the present will also value what they share together. 15. Playing an instrument, awakening the heart through sound. Music is a language that transcends all barriers, and a man who can play an instrument holds the power to touch another person's emotions in a way words never could. Whether it's the warm strum of a guitar, the gentle flow of a piano, or the powerful beat of a drum, every note is a stream of feeling flowing directly into the listener's heart. Playing music reflects persistence and talent, but also passion and the ability to connect emotionally. For many women, the moment a man loses himself in music is when he becomes his most genuine and magnetic self. Attraction is like a flame; it can warm and illuminate when fueled the right way. But it can also burn everything down if fed with the wrong fuel. And now it's time to look at the 15 cold winds that quietly extinguish a man's appeal. 15 hobbies that quietly kill a man's attractiveness. Not every hobby makes a man more appealing. Some, even if they start out as harmless fun or a simple habit, can slowly drain energy, break connections, and leave a negative impression in the eyes of others. These are the hobbies that can quietly erase your charm without you even realizing it. 1. Manosphere, the loop of negativity. When a man spends most of his time in online communities filled with hostility and pessimism toward women, he doesn't just absorb the negativity, he becomes a product of it. The manosphere often fosters a distorted worldview, making men believe that every relationship is a power struggle and that women are the opposition. This mindset not only destroys the ability to form genuine connections, but also makes others feel the bitterness in your words and actions. Attraction cannot survive when someone is trapped in a cycle of suspicion, resentment, and fear. 2. Pornography, the illusion that kills intimacy. Excessive consumption of pornography doesn't just harm mental health, it distorts perceptions of sex and love. It creates unrealistic expectations, making real intimacy feel dull or unattainable. When a man turns to illusions instead of real-life experiences, he gradually loses the ability to emotionally connect with a partner. Women can feel this distance, and that gap is often the end of attraction. This habit is like a fog, blurring authenticity and blocking the growth of genuine affection. 3. Gambling, betting away the future. Gambling isn't just a financial risk, it's a wager against your own stability and trustworthiness. When a man stakes his future on the turn of a card or the spin of a wheel, he sends a clear message that safety and responsibility are not priorities. While the thrill might be exciting in the moment, the long-term cost is often loss, pressure, and broken trust. In the eyes of women, this isn't just a bad habit, it's a red flag for whether you can truly be a reliable partner. 4. Arguing online, turning the keyboard into a battlefield. Getting caught in endless online arguments can drain a man's time and energy on things that bring no real value. When every conversation turns into a battle to win, you lose the ability to listen and understand. To others, This image isn't just unattractive, it's exhausting and tense to be around. The energy wasted on keyboard wars is energy no longer available to build meaningful, real-life connections. Some hobbies may not cause immediate harm, but they quietly build invisible walls that shut you off from genuine and meaningful relationships. 5. Funko collecting, a childhood shell. Collecting Funkos might start as a spontaneous hobby or a nostalgic link to childhood. But when the collection takes over your space and becomes the centerpiece of your life, it can make others feel like you're living in a world of your own. For many women, this image doesn't convey maturity or a clear direction for the future. Instead, it can feel like a protective shell to avoid facing reality. There's nothing inherently wrong with the hobby, but without balance, it unintentionally sends the message that you're more attached to the past than invested in the present. 6. Anime, cosplay, comic books, MTG, when a fantasy world becomes chains. Anime, cosplay, comic books, and Magic the Gathering can all be creative and exciting passions. But when these hobbies become your entire identity, they can easily create distance from those who don't share the same interests. Rather than acting as a bridge, they can become a wall that keeps you from engaging in more diverse environments. Some people also associate them with immaturity or a disconnect from real life. This perception isn't always fair. But if you don't show other sides of yourself, it can be hard for others to see past those stereotypes. 7. Makeup, unfamiliar and hard to relate to. Makeup can be a form of art and personal freedom. But to most women, seeing a man devote a lot of time to it can be confusing or hard to relate to. Society still holds strong gender norms, and the reality is that not everyone is ready to cross that boundary. If this hobby becomes the most prominent thing about you, it can overshadow other strengths that could have built stronger connections. Not every difference creates attraction sometimes. A difference only creates more distance. Not every difference turns into charm. Some differences make you unique, but others simply move you further away from the circle of connection. Distance is already hard to overcome, but even more dangerous are the hobbies that quietly erode your drive and resilience day by day. 8. Clubbing, partying while forgetting to grow up. The nightlife, flashing lights, and pounding music can bring an instant rush of excitement. But when clubbing becomes a regular habit, it can make others see you as a party boy who refuses to grow up. For many women, this signals a lifestyle without clear direction, prioritizing short-term thrills over long-term goals. The initial appeal of being outgoing and lively in a nightclub can fade quickly when they realize you can't provide a sense of safety and stability outside of the party scene. 9. Marijuana, slowly burning away motivation. Using marijuana is sometimes seen as a way to relax or spark creativity. But when it becomes a frequent habit, it can lead to sluggishness, a lack of drive, and difficulty maintaining discipline. The image of a man who constantly turns to weed to relieve stress sends the message that you avoid confronting challenges instead of facing them. This undermines natural attractiveness, as decisiveness and self-control are traits women deeply value. 10. Drinking, when fun needs alcohol to exist. Enjoying a drink on a special occasion or in a social setting is perfectly normal. But if drinking becomes a requirement for you to feel happy or to fit in, it quickly becomes a negative signal. Excessive drinking not only harms your health, but also impacts your image and ability to control your behavior. In the eyes of women, a man who needs alcohol to have fun often comes across as insecure, unbalanced, and prone to losing control, all of which diminish attractiveness. 11. Cigars, the outdated alpha. Cigars were once tied to an image of power, luxury, and the classic alpha style. But in today's world, where health awareness and clean living are valued, this image no longer carries the same allure. Instead of suggesting strength and success, smoking cigars is often seen as showy or self-indulgent. Modern women are generally more drawn to men who take care of their bodies and live healthily, rather than clinging to outdated symbols of masculinity. 12. Crypto obsession when passion turns into chains. Cryptocurrency investing can be exciting and requires both knowledge and quick thinking. But when it becomes an obsession, dominating every conversation and consuming all your time, it can throw your life out of balance. Men overly absorbed in crypto often come across as chasing quick wins rather than building sustainable value. This can create an impression of impatience, susceptibility to market swings, and poor emotional control, all of which chip away at your appeal. 13. Debating, when conversation becomes combat. Debating is a great skill when used at the right time and in the right way. But if every discussion turns into a battle of logic, you'll quickly make people feel pressured and drained. When your goal is to win instead of understand, the connection is lost. Women often struggle to feel drawn to someone who constantly needs to prove themselves right, as it reflects an oversized ego and a lack of listening, both critical for lasting connection. 14. Arguing over politics, turning dialogue into division. Political discussions can be healthy when they're respectful and balanced. But when a man constantly engages in heated political debates, especially with a my way or nothing mindset, it often alienates those around him. This kind of energy makes conversations tense rather than meaningful. In relationships, it can create a constant atmosphere of conflict, which is the exact opposite of attraction. 15. Chronic gaming, escaping instead of engaging. Gaming can be a fun, social, and even skill-building hobby. But when it becomes excessive to the point of replacing real-life interaction and responsibilities, it signals avoidance rather than ambition. Excessive gaming can make a man seem disconnected from reality, less motivated, and unable to prioritize relationships. While occasional gaming can be perfectly fine, living in a virtual world at the expense of real connections is a sure way to dull your appeal. Looking back at both lists, there's an undeniable truth: every hobby is a double-edged sword. The real question isn't, is it good or bad, but rather, where is it actually taking you? When hobbies decide the direction of your life. When you place the two lists side by side, the picture becomes clearer than ever. The hobbies that fuel a man's attractiveness all share 4 core pillars. Capability, skilled hands that can build, repair, and create value. Intellect, an open mind that observes, understands, and never stops learning. Experience, the willingness to step beyond the comfort zone, embrace challenges, and live fully. Emotion, the ability to touch others' hearts through creativity, care, and deep connection. On the other hand, the hobbies that quietly erode a man's appeal fall into 4 dangerous pits. Negativity, feeding resentment, bitterness, and pessimism. Illusion, chasing false realities that distort the truth. Distance, closing yourself off in a world others cannot or will not step into. Erosion, slowly draining your energy, motivation, and strength over time. Picture your life as a ship sailing on the open sea. Every hobby you choose is either a wind filling your sails or a reef hidden beneath the water. The wind carries you farther, faster, and with greater strength, but if you aren't paying attention, you might be steering straight toward the reef. One collision could shatter everything you've worked to build. Some hobbies appear admirable on the surface, celebrated by others. Yet if they consume all your time and energy, they turn into reefs. Meanwhile, some hobbies may seem modest and understated, but when nurtured properly, they become powerful winds pushing you forward. The real truth is that it's never about the hobby's name. Reading isn't always good, and gaming isn't always bad. Cooking isn't automatically magnetic, and clubbing isn't inherently destructive. What truly matters is how you use it, whether it's fueling your growth or slowly breaking you down. The same hobby can be a launchpad for personal growth, connection, and value, or it can become a chain holding you in stagnation and isolation. So the final question isn't, is this hobby good or bad, but where is it taking you? Is it the wind pushing your sails towards something greater, or the reef waiting for a moment of carelessness? Is it making you stronger, deeper, and more attractive, or quietly taking away your vitality piece by piece? You are the one holding the helm. Every hobby, every choice, every moment you give to them, all of it is steering the course of the ship that is your life. And one day, when you look back, you'll know for certain where those choices have taken you. That answer will define the entire journey you've lived. Live fully with what you love. Ask yourself honestly, if no one was watching, if no one praised you, if there were no approving glances or recognition from the outside, would you still choose this hobby? If the answer is yes, that's a clear sign you're on the right path. If the answer is no, then perhaps it's time to reevaluate what you're giving your time and energy to. Hobbies, like an underground current, feed your energy and shape your character every single day. They can quietly bring you closer to the best version of yourself, or slowly pull you away from the man you want to become. The choice has always been in your hands, and your attractiveness is built upon those very choices. If you want to keep unlocking the secrets that make men truly magnetic, stay. This journey has only just begun. Every next step will be a new door, leading you to deeper insights, clearer strategies, and stronger inspiration to live a life that feels whole. A man is not remembered for what he has, but for how he lives. And the way you live, the way you enjoy, the way you turn your hobbies into strength, that will be the mark you leave when everything else has faded.